What would you say should be the top priority for either Barack Obama or Mitt Romney when elected next November? Well, we just gave Americans a list of 12 issues and asked just that question. We rank ordered them by the percent of Americans who said each would be extremely important. Let me go over the top 5 for you. To no one's surprise, I don't think, creating jobs, good jobs actually, the way we phrased it was at the top of the list. Almost half of Americans said that should be extremely important for the next president. That was followed by, and this is interesting, reducing corruption in the federal government. You don't hear a lot of talk about reducing corruption on the campaign trail, but it obviously was a phrase that resonated with the people we talked to. I think some of the reason this was given the high priority is that Americans have such a low estimation of the federal government. It scores very low in all of our polling. Americans think perhaps there's too much lobbying and corruption and influence here in Washington, D.C., so when we say reducing corruption as a priority, Americans say, sure, that should be a priority for the next president. The next 5 after that are reducing the federal deficit, then dealing with terrorism and other international threats, and finally, ensuring the long-term stability of Social Security and Medicare. What's at the bottom of the list? Well, maybe a surprise here, increasing taxes on wealthy Americans and dealing with environmental concerns such as global warming. Only 21% of Americans said that both of those were extremely important as priorities for the next president. That's interesting because, of course, increasing taxes on the wealthy has been a central emphasis of Barack Obama when he talks about the budget and taxes. And a lot of people around the world think that the environment, including in particular global warming, is perhaps the most important concern we face. Yet Americans are telling us that neither of those should be a high priority for the next president, at least relative to the other items that we tested. There are big differences between Obama and Romney supporters and their ranking of these, and I find that quite interesting. One overall finding, in general, Democrats were more likely to rate all of these issues as important, with a few exceptions, than Republicans. And I think that reflects the fact that Republicans in general don't want the next president to do anything. They're in favor of limited government, so naturally, Republicans are less likely to say that any of these things should be important for the next president to do compared to Democrats, who are more likely to adopt the view that there should be a more activist federal government. Let's look at some of the differences here. The biggest difference came on making health care available and affordable for all. Look at that, a 29-point difference in the importance rating given that by Democrats over Republicans. That, of course, reflects the fact that when we say the words health care today, we're getting a reaction to Obama's health care plan, and Democrats support it, and as we know, Republicans don't. You see the list there in front of you of some of the other items where there is a big difference: global warming, increasing taxes, even schools, Social Security and Medicare. All of those rated more important by Democrats. The few issues that are rated more important by Republicans and Democrats include reducing the deficit, setting high moral standards for the country, and dealing with terrorism and other international threats. That's an update for you, Americans' views on what should be the priority for the next president. I'm Dr. Frank Newport, Gallup Editor-in-Chief.